Hey there, more here, and thank you for joining me on my channel right now. Today, we're going to dive into a champion guide and spotlight for Sanctum Protector. He's a Spirit Affinity, Sacred Order, rare defense-based champion, and I think he just might be able to find a place on your roster in your account. His A1 attacks one enemy, has a 15% chance of placing a stun debuff for one turn. Book it up to a 25% chance. It is based off of defense. All his damage is based off of defense. A stun on his A1, it's only one hit, 25% chance. So 1 in 4 chance on a one hit A1 is not very reliable. I do not recommend that you rely on this for your CC or your crowd control within the content of the game. His A2 attacks all enemies, then places a 30% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. A little annoying that Plarium nerfed him in that capacity because his damage is based off of defense. If he would place that increased defense on everybody on the team prior to attacking, that would be pretty darn cool because then he would be able to increase his damage output when he does his AoE attack. Unfortunately, it's attack, then buff. It is what it is, but that's the way it works. His A3 is a one-hit A3 with a 70% chance, booked up to a 100% chance to place a provoke debuff on one champion for one turn. Again, it's not entirely too reliable, but not entirely too bad. It's a 100% chance when you book it up, but it's on a 4-turn cooldown. So you're only going to get 1 turn of provoke coming back at him every 4 turns. So it's not, as I said, it's not entirely too reliable to count on, but it's a nice little mechanic to be able to have in the game content to be able to get through those waves of that dungeon or wherever he's sitting at, wherever you're using him at. So now, let's dive into Dragons 13 and show some gameplay for him right now. Okay, so that's the team I've got him with right there. And apologies, I'm used to using Dragon 13. I'm doing Dragon 12 for him right now, just for the fact that Dragon 13 is an off affinity for him, and it's not going to give a very realistic or give him a fair chance to show what he can do for you right now on this run through. So that team, it's not the best team in the world. It's not the worst team in the world. I'm trying to provide a realistic aspect, a realistic point of view for you and your count of the not best but not worst team that you can potentially be able to put together for your account. That wasn't too bad. That was over 8,500 crit for everybody that he hit with that AoE attack. It's not entirely too bad. His 18,000 point crit, 10,000, 223, 8. The hit A3 he did hit hard. I like that. With no increased defense either. Because he's got that increased defense mechanism for himself. A1 9,000 point crit. 10,000 for Kale's AoE. 7,000 for Draconis. 13,500 for Missionary. Missionary can hit pretty hard. Alright, now we're on the Dragon. 7,000 point crit against the Dragon, but now he's got that increased defense on him. What can he do with that increased defense, right? Because remember, his damage is based off of defense. A 4,000 point hit, but it was not a critical hit. I unfortunately don't have his critical hit chance maxed out. 68 point hit. Not too bad again. Unfortunately, again, I don't have his crit rate maxed out. I wish I did, but I don't, unfortunately. It's only about 75%, I think, right now. So it's not entirely too bad. Not too bad. 3 out of 4 chances isn't entirely rough, right? It's fairly reliable, but it's not the most consistent. 6,700 point hit with that AoE attack. Now his defense is up. Can he get another attack? 88 point crit with his A1 against the Dragon with his defense up. 6,000 from Apothecary, 77 from Kale, who are both 6 stars. He's keeping up with those 6 stars. Alright, so damage, outcome, let's go recap. We'll see what's going on here. So Apothecary did 115,000. Kale, 276. Not surprised from either one of those. They're 6 stars. They've both been geared and developed to be on a clan boss before. Missionary did 62,000. Draconis did 35,000. And Sanctum Protector did 107,000. I'm a little surprised by his damage output. I'm pleasantly surprised by how much he can actually put out. So, I've got him in a Frenzy set and a Divine Speed set, right? So, I wanted him to have the ability, if he did land that provoke, or if he did get focused because his HP is not entirely too high, to leverage that Frenzy set to be able to take another turn a little bit sooner. That Frenzy set, for every 5% HP lost, he gets a 10% turn meter increase. Now, caveat on that set, remember right, there's a cap at 50% of his HP. Anything above that, he will not get more turn meter. So he'll get a max of 50% turn meter increase. I believe that's per a hit, maybe per attack. Don't quote me on that. There's something in there. If you do know by chance, let me know in the comments below. I would greatly appreciate that. But I wanted him to take some advantage of leverage on that provoke to be able to turn a little bit faster. Otherwise, the natural focus on him so that he can attack again. So his stats, the way I've got him built right now, I've only got 18,000 HP, 947 attack. Now remember though, his attack is negligible. His attack does nothing for this champion. He's a defense-based champion. Attack does nothing. His defense is just shy of 2,000, and he's hitting pretty hard. If his defense was 3 or 4 or 5,000 defense, he'd be a contender. His speed is 159. I wanted him to take turns, so I put some speed on him as well. Crit rate is 80% crit rate, not 75, I'm sorry. 80% crit rate. If I took the time or the silver, which I don't really have right now, on maxing out his gloves, he would be just darn close to that 100%. His crit damage is at 116, his resistance 126, and at 98 on his accuracy. He does need some accuracy to be able to land that stun and that provoke whenever he's going to take those turns, if he's actually going to land on it, right? So he does need some accuracy, so I gave him some, not a whole lot. Most of his accuracy comes from random substats and some of his masteries as well. So the stats I think you should focus on him if you're going to build him for your content is going to be starting with crit rate. So you want to be able to hit that crit every single time. Defense. All his damage is based off of defense. His speed, so he can turn again, followed by crit damage, and then accuracy. Like I said before, his stun and his provoke are not very reliable and consistent, so it doesn't necessarily bring you some value to leverage and focus hard on that accuracy. Stay more in the realm of that crit rate, that defense, that speed, and that crit damage. You want him to take turns, and you want him to be able to take a hit. He's a defense-based champion. Lean into that defense and stack it heavy. So as you can see, I've got his masteries based on the offense and based on the support style trees here. Again, I wanted him to do some damage, so I built him down the offense. If I 6-star him, I'm going to take him to War Master because I want him to get that extra large pop against those bosses so that he can do a little bit more damage. And then the support tree, I use the masteries of the support tree to beef up his accuracy potential and to increase his turn meter capability. I gave him the rapid response so that he has a chance to get a turn meter increase every time his buffs expire or are removed from his team. He puts that increased defense buff on everybody on the team, so that's up to 5 chances for him to get a turn meter increase. And I wanted to leverage that and pair that with his frenzy to try to cycle through his turns a little bit faster. However, though, going down the defense tree would not be a bad idea. Again, you can lean into that defense for him. Increasing his defense will increase his output of damage, and it will also mitigate the damage he receives. So leaning into the defense tree is not a bad plan for him as well. I do suggest that you stay in the offense if you're going to build him. You want his damage output as well. You don't want him to go pure support, pure defense. I do not think that's a good idea for him. So, should you build Sanctum Protector to 6-star for your account? The free-to-play account, the low spend, no spend, mid-game, early game account, wherever you are, should you spend the resources to 6-star Sanctum Protector? My answer is yes. I do think he has a place to be 6-starred for most accounts. if not simply take him into the faction wars. He's a solid defense-based champion that can bring some damage mitigation to your team, and he can put out some damage for himself and hold his own pretty well. Thank you for joining me through the video all the way through. I greatly appreciate it. Click on the video next to me right here. Go check out another champion guide or another video on the channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. Join the mission to create the most comprehensive library of champion guides that the Raid Shadow Legends community has ever seen. And I'll see you on that video right over there.